What's up, family? We back. Killer Miller Q here, kicking it with you today. Let's flip it over. We're gonna get this thing knocked out quick, fast for a good game day cook. I got my coals burning already. We're gonna get us started with a nice full bed of coals. But first things first, we gotta go ahead and clean this thing up. This is the first cook that I'm actually gonna be able to get film for you, but we did slip a couple in the meantime. One of the big things I like to do before I get started, get rid of all these ashes, pull out this ashtray, and then I got a nice little ash bucket I like to keep here because those coals stay burning, or those ashes stay burning a lot longer than you think. But this brush that I grabbed off Amazon, a little brush, and more or less a little quick and easy kit to clean up with a dustpan that I'll kind of be able to use to clean out my actual tray with at the end, but just to kind of get everything clean and even before we can actually start breathing, or so your fire can more or less breathe before we actually get started with the cook and everything. Is kind of more or less what I do. Along with, I want to start making sure that I throw a little bit of Pam on this grate here regularly if I plan on using it, or sometime I'm gonna probably take it out so that way it doesn't get too beat up over the fire and over time. But I'll bring you back once we get everything cooking and everything. Today is gonna be a good cook. We're gonna do a whole chicken. We'll spatchcock that, and then we're gonna do some country style ribs here on the offset smoker. Stick with me. I wanted to make sure I showed you how much I like this handy dandy little dustpan and how convenient it is for me cleaning out my ash box, not really having to kind of pull out this whole pan, which is pretty heavy, and then it never quite fits to like kind of pour it into a garbage can or whatever have you. But more or less just to kind of get everything cleaned up to give me a even start when I'm going to get ready for my fire and everything. It works well to be able to just kind of sweep it right out, fill it up real quick, and then I toss it right here into my little ash bucket. But just wanted to give you a peek at that. I grabbed this one, and shout outs to my boy Big E, or Big Ed over there at Grillz Barbecue. Seeing him and seeing that suggestion on more or less getting something that's cheap. Found these on Amazon. Maybe they were a couple bucks a piece. Came with about 5 of them, so I feel like it's easy to kind of swap them out once they get too beat up. But something that was good. So good shout out to Big Ed. Okay, quick peek. We got the firebox all cleaned out. Overall, got the ashes up out of there real easy, like I said, with that dustpan, and being able to kind of sweep everything right into that tray, and then pull the tray halfway out, and then go ahead and then scoop that out and put it into a separate bucket so we can make sure that those are actually out. Took a second to season or spray again my upper grade just because it takes so much beat up from that fire, but we're going to be using that later on as we kind of reverse sear those country style ribs. Got me a bed of coals on here. I'm using oak wood. It's pretty seasoned. I'm out here in Arizona, so everything starts off so dry. I think everything's pretty seasoned almost pretty quickly compared to most other climates. Other than that, make sure you get you some welder's gloves. They'll make your world a lot easier here on the back end. Once we get this thing kind of pushed up to temperature, I'll go ahead and brush down my grates, and we'll start smoking. Football Sunday, but we'll get it going. So a couple things about getting your fire going. I like to start it off with this door open to kind of get going, get a whole lot of oxygen into the pit, and then more or less be able to kind of let it breathe, get up to temperature, really get that fire going and get this wood going good. In the beginning, it was kind of something I definitely, like most probably didn't know so much. It's really about trying to get you a good bed of clothes to be able to cook on. So I like to throw me at least a couple good size heavy sticks onto it, let it kind of get going good. I'm gonna leave that damper pretty much about 50% open so I don't get it too hot to start, because it does take a while to kind of bring it back down. But once I get this fire going for a little bit, pretty much what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna go ahead and just close this thing up. Like I said, I'm gonna leave this roughly about 50% open, so it's got plenty of oxygen to kind of breathe and keep it going. And then from there, I'll just come back in roughly about 45 minutes, an hour, once my smoke gets clear and blue, and kind of start dialing in my temps. And then we'll kind of go from there, and we'll have it going. Stick with me. Woo! What can I tell you? It's a good day in this household. Cowboys looking good. Let me show you what we got going on here. First and foremost, let me zoom out a little bit. I got everything already seasoned up, cleaned up, and I kind of talked through just some basic quick things I like to do with my process. Not that it makes everything perfect, but it's what I do. With that said, got my country style ribs here, all clean. Hit them with a little bit of binder. When I'm doing my pork, I like to start with a light layer of some type of a rub that's more salty, something like an all-purpose or something like that. I do love Malcolm's Malcolm Reed's all-purpose rub, and then I like to come over the top with a rub that's got a lot more paprika in it, a little bit more of a sweeter taste or something more even, not a whole lot of salt. Got to be careful that you don't get too much sugar, or make sure that you're cooking low, otherwise you will get some early burning on your meat. But that's pretty much what I did with my ribs, and now everything's just pretty much sitting. Tip that I learned from my brother: I love taking my skin off of my whole chicken. I pretty much spatchcock it, get you a nice pair of kitchen shears and dedicate it more or less to nothing but your chicken and cleaning and things like that. Makes life easy. Cut that backbone out on both sides, and then once you pull that off, you can pretty much pull the skin off of everything except why you leave it on my actual wings. Doesn't come off so well, and I don't mind the skin on my wings. But me personally, I try to stick with a little bit more on the healthy side. This will be more or less my chicken for the week, so I usually take the skin off of it anyway. So at least now it actually gives me a little bit of a bark, and a little bit more of the seasoning actually gets to stay on my chicken, versus usually I'd put all that seasoning on the skin, take the skin off at the end once it's actually cooked, and then my chicken really wouldn't have as much flavor. The other thing that I want to make sure that I kind of throw out there, this is a quick little tip, something that I learned, something that makes life a little bit easier, is going with some type of olive oil spray to be able to use when you're cooking. Along the way, not only did I start with my basting, I didn't use a mustard based type of binder to start off more or less with that. I did on the country style ribs, but on my chicken, I like to start with a little bit of olive oil, and then from there go ahead and spray down the whole thing on both sides, season it up on both sides. Along the way, I'll actually be spraying a little bit more olive oil on that chicken just to kind of protect it, keep it moist, and then also to give it a little bit of shine. So that's pretty much what we got. I got the smoker outside, pretty much getting going and getting up to temp and getting me a good bed of coals. But I want to give you an idea of kind of what we did on our initial prep. And next time you see me, we'll be throwing this on. Stick with me. All right, gang, we burning strong, thin and blue. We pretty been spending about 45 minutes to an hour in, and I'm sitting at about 250 after throwing those 2 good logs in. What we about to do now, check out what our coal bed looks like. Everything's pretty burnt out. We'll move some stuff around, grab this poker, and I'm gonna throw me on a nice fresh log. That burnt up fast. And I'm gonna get that one going. So from here, we got it going a little bit. We're gonna talk a little bit about the cook. I wanna stick with that 250, which I actually like. I'll let that burn up. I'll let it get started to get a second. 250 is gonna be a good temperature. I think that's what we're gonna more or less stick with today. So I'll probably be throwing in a stick about every 45 minutes at this 250. I'm gonna let this one get burning. And I had the chicken and the country style ribs. They've been sitting out sweating for a bit, so they're about ready to go on. So the next one you see, we're gonna brush this thing down, and we'll get actually some food on it. Okay, crew, we back. Let's take it back in. Couple things. We are seasoned up. We have sweated, we have relaxed, we have chilled. We done did everything we need to do. I'm still sitting a little over 250 now. I threw that last log in. Once I put this cold meat in and open it up, we'll probably drop down. This is what we're gonna do. We're gonna get this meat in. I'm going with the bottom rack for my, actually I'm gonna go with the top rack for my chicken, because I want that top rack is usually a little bit hotter. I want that to get done a little bit faster. I'm gonna go more or less on the bottom middle area for these country style ribs and let them get some good smoke. And on the back end, we're gonna get to slide over here and get them in here for a reverse sear. All right, team, we back at it. We'll go check it out. We probably about an hour and 15 minutes in. Things been rolling well so far. Fire dropped down just a bit. What we're gonna do here is take one of our preheating logs and toss on our coals. I'll leave that open. I'm gonna throw me another one right in here to start preheating. You see, once you preheat it, it'll catch pretty quick. Now let's take a look at the meat and the product. We've been holding pretty much at about 250. I just peeked in here at it. Grab my little olive oil spray. This is why I really like it. It makes it a lot easier on that chicken. Let's keep a little moisture on. I'll go with the same for these country style ribs. And I definitely, normally probably on pork, I usually would probably go with some type of apple cider vinegar and water mixture with a little bit of oil in there. But just for something easy, keeping it consistent with what I already got, ain't gonna hurt nothing. Went ahead and just kind of went with that top part, the olive oil, which I like to actually do for my chicken just to kind of keep it nice and golden brown. So far we're looking good. I mean, we got some good color. We don't got nothing going on too bad. No bad smoke on here. I'm gonna go ahead and close this baby back up. We'll get right back up to 250. Fire should be good and caught by now. Got one in there warming up. We'll season that up. And I'll bring you back here in about 15 or about a half hour or so. Okay, family, we back at it. We are a little bit about 2 hours in. We've been holding steady pretty much at that 250, man. This grill is amazing at holding temperatures as long as you're consistent with kind of more or less putting you a log in here and there, maybe about every 45 minutes to an hour is normally what everybody says. I feel like more at the end of the day, I'm probably at about 45 minutes. Like I said, I'm in Arizona. These things is pretty dry, so they go through pretty quick, especially if you already kind of got everything pre-lit. But all right, we back a little over 2 hours in. We've been holding steady at 250. This grill is a champ as far as holding temperatures. I'd say every 45 minutes throwing in a split after having it warmed up. Pretty easy over here. I'm pretty empty as far as my coals, so what we're gonna do is grab this log that I already got preheating, move these around a little bit, give me a good bed, and flip that over. And I'll throw me another one of these logs of this oak in here. And if you let them kind of get dried on the side, and mine are pretty already dry, they'll kind of flame up in no time, so you'll be able to get this thing going. Since one of the best times to throw you a log in, I think, is when you're going to check on your grill. So since I'm gonna open it up, I'll close it right off the bat, and I'm not worried too much. As far as now, I got me a good cold bed going. This thing has been holding strong. So let's see where we at. Color wise on those country style ribs, I look good. I'm about to wrap those up. I'm gonna hit them with just a little bit of this parquet squeeze butter, nothing too crazy. And other than that, I'm gonna wrap them in some aluminum foil. And then my chicken up here looks pretty good. We're gonna hit it with some temps with my thermopin. I'm looking to get the legs at around at least 175. There we go. And then I need to get the breast at least 165, which looks like we might be about there. I like to take my chicken a little bit higher than. I'd rather be safe than sorry when we're talking chicken. So looking at those temps, we actually might be good already on the chicken. So we're just gonna go ahead and hit that with a little splash of olive oil and let it rest, wrap those up, and then I'll bring it back to you. Here my little baby back there, she ready to eat too. Family, back at you, man. I wanted to switch something up and I wanted to show you. I'm gonna go with a pan. I actually end up having these are still pretty big. They're gonna kind of render down a little bit more. Got just a tad bit of water as I kind of have to rinse this out. We'll go ahead and throw it in here, top it with a little bit of the parquet squeeze butter, and then go ahead and wrap it up with the aluminum foil, and then I'll let it sit back in here for roughly probably another half hour to an hour before I take them back out, and then maybe we'll throw a little sauce on them and go from there. I think that'll be a better plan. Talk to you soon. Let's render this thing out. Bam! So for me, I keep it light. I just need a light drizzle on there, just a tad bit of water in there. I don't need much. There's so much connective tissue. As this thing starts to steam, we got a lot that's gonna come off of there. You already see the juice just from where it pooled from sitting there for a second. So we'll wrap these up, throw these back on, and we'll check back here in about 45 minutes to an hour. Peace. All right, team, we back. We got the chicken done. We cooked it at about 250 for the last about 2 hours and 15 minutes. We had it over the oak pellets or the oak wood. We're gonna go ahead and see what it tastes like. Let's get a first cut in. I already see juice running off. I like to get mine a little more done just to be sure. Nice and juicy. Great. Like I said, I like taking the skin off first off. Makes a nice little skin on top. Still nice and juicy. We win. Okay, let's bring it back. Let's finish off these country style ribs. We have been rolling at about a good 250 degrees all the way through. Just drop down. These have been wrapped up for a little over an hour. They should be good and tender. So we got a little extra juice. That's why I don't really add too much. A little bit of butter. Had a little bit of water in the bottom of the pan from the rinse out. We're about to get a little bit of extra color on them, and we're gonna actually get a little bit of a glaze on the top. So pretty much what I do is a little bit of half and half mixture of water and apple cider vinegar with a little bit of oil in there, and then the rest of it, the other half of that will just be straight barbecue sauce. And then I kind of that way cut it down, keep it thin, and we'll get a little glaze over, and we're gonna get them a quick toss over right here over the direct fire, and we'll see how we can get these things finished up. So I've learned this top shelf is like my baby. This is money. So talk a little bit quickly about the cook. I got these country style ribs. Been pretty much running at about 250 the whole time. They've been on about 3 hours, 15 minutes, probably about an hour of that. Give or take, has been wrapped up. From there, we let them get a little bit of initial color. We let them get wrapped up and render a little bit. And now we're gonna give them a little bit of time to get just a little bit of color and to kind of sear off. Oh yeah, I like that sound over the hot coals. And you know, now we got a little bit of sugar in the rub and everything, so we don't get that long out here. I'm gonna choke that fire down just a little bit after I glaze these tops. Nothing like seeing meat on open flame. Football Sunday, my Cowboys got a good win. Obviously, I love that. Now we're gonna finish it off. Chicken came out great. Chicken probably went on that 250. Never wrapped it for about 2 hours or 15 minutes. There we go. We in the game. Loving that Lone Star. Just a little bit, maybe a minute and a half on one side. And we're gonna flip these babies over. I don't wanna get them too much. Mess around and get them too kissed. That just means we nice and tender right there. Like to see that. Especially on the country styles, gotta be rendered out. Get a couple minutes on that side, and we're gonna get these babies off. We'll get them a rest, and we'll get us a taste. Alright, welcome back. We finishing out this cook. Thanks for keying in. We at the back end of it. We're about to get a taste on these country style ribs and see how they came out. Chicken was flawless. Ribs is tender. Those came out great. Those came out great. Nice. Make sure if you haven't yet, like and subscribe. Make sure you tune in next week. We'll be putting together something for Thanksgiving. Killer Miller Q. We out. Keep smoking.